Welcome to A Reason to Talk with Chris Reason. Today's episode takes us back to the late 1700s to the early 1800s, the Harpe brothers. Let's get into today's episode.
Tell me what you saw, tell me what you heard. Every weirdo legend, every hard-hit word. A reason to talk, a reason to talk. Chris Reason, we're here for the strange, the loud, the dark.
All right, let's butcher some names. Micaiah Big Harpe, born Joshua Harpe, before 1768. Don't have a specific number or date for that. And Wiley Little Harpe, born William Harpe, born before 1770. Were American murderers, highwaymen, and river pirates who operated in Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Mississippi, and along the Natchez Trace in the late 18th century. They often are considered the earliest documented serial killers in the United States history. Loyal to the British Crown during the American Revolution, the Harpes became outlaws after the war and began robbing and killing settlers in the remote frontier west of the Appalachian Mountains. They are believed to have killed 39 people and possibly as many as 50. As the Harpes' crimes gained notoriety, vigilante groups formed to avenge their victims, and they were eventually tracked down and executed around the turn of the century. Their savagery has since entered American folklore. Historians have noted the difficulties of differentiating between facts and subsequent legends of the Harpes and their exploits, as there are few reliably certain records of their lives from the time period. They are believed to have been born in what is now Orange County, North Carolina, to Scottish parents. Micaiah was probably born in or before 1768 as Joshua Harper, and Wiley in or before 1770 as William Harper. Though many accounts identify the two as brothers, it is also possible they were first cousins, named Joshua and William Harper, who immigrated from Scotland in 1759 or 1760. According to this theory, their fathers were brothers John and William Harper, who settled in Orange County, North Carolina between 1761 and 1763. Like many Scottish settlers of the American colonies, the Harpers were Calvinists and vowed Tories loyal to the king. Prior to the American Revolution, Big and Little Harpe's fathers may also have served in Tory militias in the War of the Regulation or Regulatory War, 1765 to 1771, during which colonists in the Carolinas took up arms against the continuing royal government interference by British colonial officials. When the Revolutionary War began, the Harpes' fathers tried to join the Patriot American forces but were denied due to earlier associations with the British Loyalists. The negative treatment of the Harpe family by hostile Patriot neighbors may have contributed to Big and Little Harpe's feelings of persecution as children and their desire to revenge against people they considered rebellious traitors but who were still the British subjects of King George III. Reportedly, after some time, the political tensions between the Harpe family and local patriots had escalated drastically, culminating in an attack on the family home by local revolutionaries, in which the boys witnessed the lynching of their parents. Upon seeing this, the Harpe boys are said to have fled into the forest and hidden for a while before they were found and rescued by members of the renegade band of Chickamauga, Cherokee. I still probably butchered that. After being brought into the tribe, the boys realized they held similar beliefs as their new native caretakers, from whom they learned how to properly hunt, trap, and dress wild game and forage on native plants, as well as how to steal livestock, raid properties, and various methods to best torture and kill enemies. Around April or May of 1775, the young Harpes left North Carolina and went to Virginia to find overseer jobs on a slave plantation. Big Harpe later traveled in the company of two women, Susan and Betty Roberts, possibly sisters, both of whom bore him children. Little Harpe married Sarah Sally Rice, the daughter of Baptist minister. Little is known of the Harpes' precise whereabouts at the outbreak of the American Revolution. According to an eyewitness account by Captain James Wood of the Continental Army, they joined a Tory rape gang in North Carolina. These predatory, violently loyalist criminals took advantage of the general wartime lawlessness by beating, raping, stealing from, torturing and murdering all who they did not take kindly to, as well as burning and destroying property, especially the farms of Patriot colonists. The Harpies gang took part in the kidnapping of 3 teenage girls, with a 4th girl being rescued by Captain Wood. The Harpies also served as military associators through where not provided soldiers' uniforms, weapons, or paid by the British government. Like many other loyalist volunteers, they survived via hunting, foraging, robbery, and through the looting of corpses on battlefields. Captain Wood's son was Frank Wood, a Patriot soldier of the Over Mountain Men frontier group, and the other brother of Susan Wood, who was later kidnapped and made the wife of Micaiah Harpe. Frank Wood claimed to have seen the Harpe brothers serving loosely as Tory militia at the Battle of Kings Mountain in October of 1780 under British commander Major Patrick Ferguson. During the 3-hour engagement, Wood took aim at Big Harvey but missed the target. Later, the Harpies served under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Banstry, Tarleton's British Legion at the battles of Blackstocks, November of 1780, and Cowpens, January of 1781. Following the decisive British defeat by Patriot and French forces of Yorktown in 1781, the Harpies left North Carolina, dispersing with their Native American allies, the renegade Chickamauga Cherokee, to Tennessee villages west of the Appalachian Mountains. And also, I again once apologize for butchering some of these names. On April 2nd, 1781, they joined the war party of 400 Chickamauga and attacked the Patriot frontier settlement of Bluff Station at Fort Nashboro, present-day Nashville, Tennessee, repeating the assault several months later on either July 20th, 1788 or April 9th, 1793. On August 19th, 1782, the Harpies accompanied a British-backed Chickamauga Cherokee war party to Kentucky at the Battle of Blue Licks, where they helped to defeat an army of Patriot frontiersmen led by Daniel Boone. During the Harpies' earlier frontier period among the Chickamauga Cherokee, they lived in a village of Nickajack near Chattanooga, Tennessee, for approximately 12 or 13 years. During this time, they kidnapped Maria Davidson and later Susan Wood. In 1794, the Harpies left their Indian habitation before it was destroyed in a raid by American militia. The Harpe brothers would later relocate to Powell's Valley around Knoxville, Tennessee, where they stole food and supplies from local pioneers. They may have disguised their Tory past from the Patriot neighbors by changing their original name of Harper, which was a common loyal surname in Revolutionary War era North Carolina. The whereabouts of the Harpies are unknown after the summer of 1795. By the spring of 1797, they were apparently dwelling in a cabin on Beavers Creek near Knoxville. On June 1st, 1797, Wiley Harpe married Sarah Rice, which was recorded in the Knoxville County marriage records. Sometime during 1797, the Harpies began a vicious crime spree through Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. The Harpies later confessed to the killings of confirmed 39 people, but the estimated combined total including unknown victims, may number more than 50. They are alleged to have butchered anyone at the slightest provocation, regardless of age, including babies. Jesus. What follows are the accounts of but a few of the murders the Harpies committed. In 1797, while the two were living near Knoxville, Tennessee, the Harpies were driven out of town upon being charged with stealing pigs and horses. They were also accused of murdering a local man named Johnson, whose body was found in a river covered in urine, with his chest cut open and filled with stones. This weighing down became a signature corpse disposal method seen in the Harpies' serial killings. After being kicked out of Knoxville, the Harpies fled north into Kentucky. They entered the state on the Wilderness Road near the Cumberland Gap. They're believed to have murdered a peddler named Peyton, taken his horse and some of his goods. In December, they murdered 2 travelers from Maryland. Next, a man named John Langford, who was traveling from Virginia to Kentucky, turned up dead. A local innkeeper pointed authorities toward the Harpies. The criminal pair was pursued, captured, and jailed in the state prison of Danville, Kentucky, from which they managed to escape when a posse was sent after them. The young son of a man who assisted the authorities was found dead and mutilated by the Harpies in an act of retaliation. On April 22nd, 1799, Kentucky Governor James Garrett placed a $300 reward, or would be about $5,807 in 2025, on each of the Harpies' heads. While fleeing northward, the Harpies killed 2 men named Edmonton and Stump when they were near the mouth of the Saline River in southern Illinois. They came upon 3 men encamped there and killed them. The pair then made their way to Cave In Rock, a natural cave in the bluffs above the Illinois bank on the Ohio River. and a stronghold of the river pirate and criminal gang leader Samuel Mason. A posse had been aggressively pursuing them, but stopped just short of the cave on the opposite shore in Kentucky. With their wives and the 3 children in tow, the Harpies found a refuge with a crime gang led by Samuel Mason, who preyed on slow-moving floatboats making their way along the Ohio River. While the Mason gang could be ruthless, even though they were reportedly appalled at the actions of the Harpies, after the murderous pairs were found to have a habit of taking travelers to the top of the bluff, stripping them naked, and pushing them off. Samuel Mason forced the Harpy brothers to leave. The Harpies then returned to eastern Tennessee, where they continued their vicious murder spree. They killed a farmer named Brad Burry, a man named Hardin, and a boy named Coffee in July 1798. Soon more bodies were discovered, including those of William Ballard, who had been disemboweled and thrown into the Holston River, James Brassel, who had his throat viciously slashed and was discovered in Brassel's knob, and John Tully, Mr. John Graves, and his teenage son were found dead, each having been bludgeoned with an axe in south-central Kentucky. In Logan County, the Harpies killed a young girl as well as a young slave and an entire family they found asleep in a camp. In August of 1799, a few miles northeast of Russellville, Kentucky, Big Harpe bashed his infant daughter's head against a tree because he was annoyed by her constant crying. His only crime, for which he would later admit to feeling genuinely remorse over. That same month, a man named Trowbridge was found disemboweled in Highland Creek. When the Harpies were given shelter at the Stiegel home in Webster County, the pair killed an overnight guest named Major William Love, as well as Mrs. Moses Stiegel's 4-month-old baby boy, whose throat was slit because he, like Big Harpe's daughter, had cried. Upon Mrs. Stiegel catching the Harpies in the act of killing her child, she screamed, for which she was also silenced and murdered. The second governor of Kentucky, James Garrett, issued a government proclamation on April 22nd, 1799, in the name of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, declaring a $300 reward, or $5,800 now, for the apprehension of and deliverance back to Danville, Kentucky for trial. Governor Garrett gave a description of the physical appearance of the Harpe brothers. Micaiah Harpe, alias Roberts, is about 6 feet high, of robust make, and is about 30 or 32 years of age. He has an ill-looking, downcast countenance, and his hair is black and short, but comes very much down his forehead. He's built very straight and as full flesh in the face. When he went away, he had on a striped Nanking coat, dark blue woolen stockings, leggings of drab cloth, and trousers the same as the coat. Wiley Harpe, alias Roberts, is very meager in his face. Has short black hair, but not quite so curly as his brothers. He looks older, though really younger, and has likewise a downcast countenance. He had a coat of the same stuff as his brothers, and had a store coat over the closed-bodied one. His stockings are dark woolen ones, and his leggings of drab clothing. The Harpe killings continued in July 1799 as the two fled west to avoid a new posse organized by John Leeper, which including the avenging husband and father Moses Stiegel, while the pair was preparing to kill another settler named George Smith. The posse finally tracked them down on August 24th, 1799. The posse called for the Harpies to surrender. They attempted to flee. Micaiah Harpe was shot in the leg and back by Leeper, who soon caught up with him and pulled him from his horse, subduing the outlaw with a tomahawk in a scuffle. As he lay dying, Micaiah Harpe confessed to 20 murders. While Harpe was still conscious, Moses Stiegel slowly cut off the outlaw's head. Later, the head was spiked on a pole. Some accounts claim a tree at a crossroads near the Moses Stiegel cabin that is still known as Harpe's Head, or Harpe's Head Road, along a modern-day highway in Webster County, Kentucky. While Wiley Harpe successfully escaped the confrontation and rejoined the Mason gang pirates at Cave in Rock. 4 years later, Wiley Harpe might have been captured along with the rest of the gang, but went unrecognized because he was using the alias of John Seddon or John Sutton. Both Harpe and Samuel Mason, the gang leader, escaped, but Mason was shot. Afterwards, Little Harpe and another gang member, Peter Elston, who went by the name James May, son of the counterfeiter Philip Elston, tried to claim the bounty of Samuel Mason, although it is unclear whether Mason died from the wounds sustained during the escape or whether Harpe killed him. Regardless, as they presented Mason's head, a Kentuckian recognized Harpe and Ellison as outlaws themselves, and the two men were arrested. The two soon escaped, but were quickly recaptured, tried, and sentenced to be hanged. In January 1804, Wiley Harpe and Peter Ellison were executed by hanging. Their heads were cut off and placed high in stakes along the Natchez Trace as a warning to other outlaws. According to John Musgrave, the Harpe women, after being freed from cohabitation with the brothers, led relatively respectable and normal lives. Upon the death of Micaiah Big Harpe in Kentucky, the women were apprehended and taken to Russell, Kentucky State Courthouse, but later released. Sally Rice Harpe went back to Knoxville, Tennessee to live in her father's house for a time. Susan Wood and Maria Davidson, a.k.a. Betsy Roberts, lived in Russell. Susan Wood remarried later and died in Tennessee. Her daughter went to Texas. September 27th, 1803, Betsy Roberts married John Huffstutler, and the couple lived in tenants on Colonel Butler's plantation. They moved to Hamilton County, Illinois in 1828 and had many children. The couple eventually died in the 1860s. In 1820, Sally Rice, who had remarried, traveled with her husband and father to their new home in Illinois via the Cave and Rock Ferry. William Faulkner, in his novel Requiem for a Nun, 1951, in describing the Paleolithic evolution of the area served by the Natchez Trace, promptly mentions the exploits of the Harpies and Mason, highly the butchery and savagery of the early history of, I'm going to butcher this as well, Yokanapatawpa County. Jeez. Sorry for that. In the 1941 film The Devil and Daniel Webster, All the Money Can Buy, Big and Little Harpe are part of the jury of the damned that Daniel Webster must convince in order to free an innocent Jabe Stone. In the 1965 Walt Disney Productions film Davy Crockett and the River Pirates, the Harpe brothers are portrayed by American actors Paul Newland as Big Harpe and Frank Richards as Little Harpe. In the 1975 Broadway musical The Robber Bridegroom featured two characters, Big Harpe and Little Harpe, based on the Harpies. Big Harpe is presented as a cut-off head in a trunk, rescued by his brother when he was put to death for thieving. He's also the smarter of the two brothers. The Harpe brothers were the inspiration for Big and Little Drum and Louis McMaster's Buchholz's 2008 novel Passage, part of the Sharing Knife series. Wiley Harpe is also the subject of the song Bob Frank and John Murray's 2006 album World Without End. In 2015, the Investigation Discovery television channel series Evil Kin aired an episode about the Harpe brothers called Something Wicked in the Woods. A short narrative on the Harpe brothers appears in Silly Saderstrom's 2015 novel Slab. Tiger, the novel's main character, grows up with her family near the Mississippi River on the land of Wiley Harpe's estate off the Natchez Trace, where Wiley Harpe would dismember the corpses and make arrangements from their parts, ornamenting the land around his humble plantation. Tiger's grandfather installs a tire swing on a tree, to which he also affixes a historical plaque, Little Harpe hanged here. In the 2018 Western video game Red Dead Redemption 2, the villainous Skinner Brothers gang was possibly inspired by the Harpies. Now, for that is all in the media. Thank you for joining me here in today's podcast of an episode of A Reason to Talk with Chris Reason. For more epic adventures, random interviews, and haunted stories, hit that follow button or subscribe wherever you are listening to this episode. Peace and bacon grease, guys.